thing, what I have said, that they do not share. I said that I said in an opposite way that we place them on a different physical sites. Okay, that mean that if one fragment of your database is on the one place, the other will be on the other place. Okay, they are not on the same system. They are not sharing any components or any devices between them. No, they are just sharing few. They loosely coupled mean that they have some connection, of course, with each other, because they are a part of one database, and they need to know that we are the fragment or the part of which database. So for that they have the you know uh, kind of connections between them, but those connections will not affect their independence, right? And transactions may access the data at one or more sites, mean that whenever the users will send the transactions, it depends. The transaction can be execute on one of the fragment of the database, or it can be on the multiple fragment of the database, because the requested data by the user can be placed on the multiple sites, or it can be on the same site, right? So it depends that what kind of the requirement the user has asked for. So this is the distributed databases, like that when we have fragmented the database and place it on the separate physical sites, and they are independent from each other. So one minute. So when we will say, like I said, that when we will say that the database is distributed, when it is partitioned, or when it is replicated, or both are partitioned and replicated. This is, I said, the first line, that distribution can be, in a way that it is divided. It is in a divided way, that you make the small parts or the fragment of the same thing, and then you place it on the different way. That is the partitioning. Okay, division. Replication is also a way of distribution. Like you have the same thing and you place it on many other places, copy of that, the complete copy of that you place on some other physical places. That is also comes under the distributed databases. For example, you have one copy of your assignment of your data, for example, and you want to keep a complete copy of that data on another hard drive, just for the recovery purposes, or whenever, okay, you need it. So that is also the distributed. If you will keep it on the same hard drive, then it is not distributed. Okay, you have your data and you make a copy of that and you place it on the same hard drive, then this is not distributed, because you are keeping everything on the same hard drive, right? But when you will make a copy of that and you place it on another hard drive, then it's a distribution, right? That's mean that you have did the division of your data, so that if something bad happened to, or some problem happened to your this original data, you can get the copy from the other hard drive. So partitioning, very easy, like division. Okay, you will divide the whole thing into a smaller fragments, and that is partitioning. And then you place it on the different places. And replicated mean that you are placing the copy of the same thing on the different places, right? Both partition and replicated mean the combination. Some portions of your database will be replicated, and some portions or the fragments of your database will be partitioned. Okay, this is fairly straightforward for read-only replicas, but it can be very difficult for other installation. They are saying that when you have to only make the replication of read-only databases, like if you have to make a copy of your database and you have to place it on some other physical location, and you have to only read the data from there. right? Then it is quite easy. Then there is not a problem because you are only reading the data. But in all other cases, that if you have to partition them and then you have to also update that, and also if you have to replicate it but you have to update it, okay, if you have to do the written if you have to do the write operations on that, that is basically come under the updation, then that is not that easy, okay. So there are different things and different ways that how you can do that. Anyway, there are homogeneous data distributed databases and there are heterogeneous distributed databases. Homogeneous mean everything is same. Okay, homogeneous. Homogeneous means unanimous, one, wahid. Okay, everything looks same. This is homogeneous. Heterogeneous mean that everything is different. They don't look same and they all are different, right? So this is homogeneity and heterogeneity. So in homogeneous distributed databases, all sites have the identical software. So first of all, homogeneity depends on different factors, okay. Like you all girls are Saudi, so you are homogeneous, right? In a class, all girls are from Saudi. So this is one of the factor that can create homogeneity between you, and maybe you are all from you all are girls, okay, so this is homogeneity, you're homogeneous, okay. So homogeneity or homogeneous is defined on some factors, okay. First we define the factors and then we say that okay, there is a homogeneity or there is a heterogeneity, right? So they are saying now in the homogeneous distributed database, how we will say that, okay, this is homogeneous distributed database. First of all, we say that all of the sites, okay, sites mean the physical places where we have our this copy of databases, they all use the same kind of softwares, same to same, okay. Application software, DB softwares, DBMSs, they all have the same, softwares, same operating system, same devices, same machines, okay. So they are homogeneous in that way, are aware of each other and agree to cooperate in processing user requests. So also these fragments of database have knowledge about each other because they are using the same software, same devices, same applications. Also, they know the schema of each other. Okay, they know the design of each other, and then they cooperate in a way whenever there is a request or a query from the user, they process it in the same way. So basically they have the same processes as well, okay, they process the queries or the request in a same manner. Each site renders part of its autonomy in terms of the right to change the schemas or the software. Here, the autonomy mean independence because one of the key factor of the distributed databases was that they are independent from each other. But in homogeneous distributed databases, yes, they are independent, but because they are homogeneous with each other, so they are a little bit, also dependent on each other. Dependent, like all are using the same software. So if one of the system has to change, it's a requirement of the system has to change the software, then all other have to also change the software. So they, in this way, they are not independent. Okay, so little bit independence has to be compromised, but most of the time they are independent. Appear to user as a single system, but for the users, they are like one system. Okay, for users, it is not like they are the separated system. So this is the homogeneous distributed databases. Heterogeneous distributed databases, different sites may use the different schemas and software. Like the word shows, like I said to you before, that heterogeneous mean everything is different. There's no need to be same. So they use a different software. If on one site fragment of databases using Linux and different application software, okay, the other physical site can use the Windows and server, Window and anti-server or whatever. Okay, they want to use. It's not necessary that they all should have a same software, they should have the same schema. That is not required. Different in schema is a major problem for the query processing. Now, because schema is the design, okay, design of your database. Okay, that the tables you make and the ERDs you make, that is basically the schema. In simple word, the design of database. Now, because we are saying that the each fragment or the independent database has the different schema, that will affect your query processing, because if you will have the same schemas, then it is easier to process the query. But between the different schemas and the designs, it is very hard to process the queries. So it will take more time, and then you have to apply the different techniques in order to overcome this problem. Difference in software is a major problem for the transaction processing. Now again, because they are using the different application software, and every software has its own requirement and its own way of processing, right? So whenever the user will send the transactions, it will depend that which site is using which software. So that is also a problem for the heterogeneous distributed databases. SATs may not be aware of each other and may provide only limited facilities for the cooperation in the transaction processing. In the homogeneous, like we said, that all the sites know about the fragment of the databases, but here, because they don't know about each other, so they don't know that what other site can provide for the processing of the transaction. So one site will behave like completely independent and unaware of the other sites, physical sites. Okay, so it can only provide the services which are available on that site. If it knows that there are other sites where this database, fragment of this database is available, so it can request the facilities or the services from that part or that fragment of the database. Okay, but because they are unaware, so they cannot provide you the uh, you can say they can only provide you the limited services or the facility. So this is the comparison between the homogeneous and the heterogeneous distributed databases. But every concept and technique has some good points and some bad points. So in some cases, heterogeneous distributed databases must be required. That's why they came into the existence, because they must have some use. So because there are some situations where we need them. So that's why we have created them. Now it's up to the database administrator that where he has to use the which concept. Anyway, distributed data storage, how we will store the data in this distributed scenario. If we have the relational data model, then we have the three ways: replication and fragmentation combined. Okay. Replication, the same thing I told you, replication partition. Okay. In replication, system maintains the multiple copies of the data stored in different sites for faster retrieval and fault tolerance. Okay, this is what I have told you already, that the same copies of the same database will be placed on the different physical devices on the different sites. Okay, and this is good for fast retrieval and fault tolerance. Fast retrieval mean that if you will have the same copy of the same data on the different places, so users can get it faster. For example, what we can think, uh, if you go to a shop and there is only one counter, okay, if there is only one counter to take the ticket, so all customers have to queue in one line and they have to wait longer, right? And for their turn, that then their turn will come and they will take the ticket. But if on the same shop there are 10 counters, okay, all 10 counters will give the ticket, but then you don't need to wait longer. Okay, so everyone can go on the other, like if there are 5 people on this queue, you can go to the next one. So there are 10 options for you to get the ticket, right? So in this way, the fast retrieval, same thing. If you need the data from the one database, and on that fragment of data or on that copy of data on that site, if other user is sending the transactions and queries, then that mean that if you will send your query will be queued in the processor. Okay, and it has to wait. So rather than waiting, if you need the same data, and if it is available on another site, your query will be transferred to that site and it will retrieve the data faster. So this is the way that if you will replicate the same data on the different sites, then the fast retrieval of the data is possible. And fault tolerance mean, if you have lost data on one site, okay, on one place, it is available on the other places. So no need to worry. If on site one there is some problem and data is corrupted or lost, anyway, whatever the situation, okay, some problem has occurred and you lost the data. So that's mean there are other sites which have the copies of the data. So the user can send the queries and the data will be retrieved from those physical places, right? So this is known as the fault tolerance. So replication is good for fast retrieval and fault tolerance. Fragmentation relation is partitioned into several fragments stored in the distinct site. The same thing that you will divide the database into the or the data into the smaller or the several fragments, and then you will store them on the different places or the site. Replication and fragmentation combine. Relation is partitioned into several fragments. System maintains the several identical replicas of such fragments. So in this, what you will do, first you will divide the database into fragments. Okay, you will place them on the different sites, and then also you will make the copies of those fragments, and then you will place them on the different sites. Okay, in the replication, the first one, you make a copy of complete database. You are not dividing anything. So that's another thing. In fragmentation, you are just dividing the database and you are placing those fragments on the different sites. In replication and fragmentation, first you will fragment, you will divide, and then you will make the copies of those parts, not the whole database, okay? You will make the copies of those fragments and you will place them on the different places. Data replication, a relation or fragment of relation is replicated if it is stored redundantly in two or more sites. This is what I have told you. If you will make the copy and place it on different sites, then it is the replication. Full replication of relation is the case where the relation is stored at all the sites. Okay. Full replication means that if you have 100 physical sites for one database and you are placing, I mean, if you have 100 sites for the distributed database for this database, whatever database you have, and then if you keep the copy of that complete database on all 100 sites, that this is a full replication. Fully redundant databases are those in which every site contains a copy of the entire database. This is what I have said, that on each site you have a complete copy of the whole database, not only the fragments but the complete database. Then advantages of the replication: availability, parallelism, reduce the data transfer. Availability, like the fault tolerance, okay? Failure of site containing the relation does not result in the unavailability of R is replica exist. Same thing like fault tolerance, that if one site failed, okay, where your data was or your database was placed, so that does not matter, okay? You have a copy of that on another site, so you can get the database or the data from that. So this is the availability. That means all time your database will be available. Same example of counter. If one machine is not working and you cannot get the ticket, that does not mean that you will not get the ticket. You can go to the other counter and you can get the ticket, okay? But if there will be only one machine that is issuing the ticket, and if it stop working, that means that you will not get the ticket until it will start working. So that's mean that machine is not available and the ticket is not available to you. But like I said, if there are 10 machines, okay, 10 counters, it's okay. If one is not working, you can go to the next one and you can get your ticket. So ticket is available to you anyway, right? This is the availability. So the same concept with the database. If one site is not working or failed and database is not available, that is not the issue. You can get the required data from the other side. Parallelism: queries on R may be processed by several nodes in the parallel. Parallel mean matwazi, going together, okay? So because you have the copies on the different sites, so the different users can work with the same database parallel, okay? Transactions or the queries don't need to wait in a queue, okay? Same counter example, go parallel matwazi, okay? Like if you two friends go and you both want the ticket, so one can go on one counter and other can go on the other counter, right? So you both are taking the tickets parallel. So the same queries can go parallel on the database because of its replication on the multiple sites. Reduced data transfer. Relation R is available locally at each site containing a replica of R. Because again, it is available on every site, so transfer of data will be reduced. Transfer data mean whenever the user will send a query, it is not like that your database has to go on some other physical site and bring the data, like it happened in the networks, okay? But because the data is already available on the system, so your data transfer will be reduced. These are the good points or the advantages of the replication. Disadvantages: increased cost of update. Each replica of R must be updated. Now, increased costs of the updates mean that whenever there is some update in your database, there is some change in your database, you have to record that update or change also for all the copies present on the other sites. Okay, so again, if there is some update or change in the original database, then you have to do that change and update on all other copies of the database. So it's a time consuming and effort taking task, right? So this is the disadvantage. Increased complexity of concurrency control. Concurrent updates to the distinct replica may lead to the inconsistent data unless special concurrency control mechanisms are implemented. Now the same thing which is related to the update, because when you are updating those replicas or copies of the database on the different places, so there might be chance that inconsistencies can create because they are concurrent, they are going in a concurrent fashion or manner. So that can create the inconsistencies. If you remember, we talk about the concurrency, okay? So in order to stop that, we need to apply different concurrency control mechanisms. One solution: choose one copy as a primary copy and apply concurrency control operation on the primary copy. So they are saying that take the one copy as the main copy and then first apply all the changes on that and then later on to the others, right? So this can be the solution. But these are the problems. So the basic problem with the data replication is for the updates, okay? That can cause the problems for the database administrator. Then the database fragmentation, division of relation into fragments R1, R2 to Rn, which all contain sufficient information to reconstruct the relation R. Okay, so like I told you, you have to divide the database into the smaller fragments, and keeping in view that each fragment should be in such a way that if you combine all these fragments again, then you can reconstruct, okay, or you can remake your database again. It should not lose the important information. There are two types of fragmentations: horizontal fragmentation and vertical fragmentation. Each tuple of R is assigned to one or more fragments. The schema of R is split into the several smaller schemas. Okay, horizontal, I will explain you with the diagram on the next slide. All schemas must contain the common candidate key or to ensure the lossless join property. A special attribute, the tuple ID attribute, may be added to each schema to serve as the candidate key. Okay, let's see here. What is horizontal and what is vertical fragmentation? Here, for example, you have the table. Okay, this is not a complete table. For example, we have the account table. Okay, we have the account. We have the account table. Okay, in that account table we have branch name, account number, the complete table is not given here actually. Okay, so we suppose that in the account table we have the branch number, account number, balance, customer name, and we have also customer ID. Okay, this is all of your fields in that. Okay, horizontal fragmentation mean, if you remember in the last lecture we talked about the relational algebra. Okay, this is the selection, and selection comes under the where condition. Okay, where you give the condition, that is the selection. So the horizontal fragmentation mean that you are going to take out all those rows. Always remember, these are the rows. It's very important, okay? So listen carefully. So these all are rows, okay? These all are rows, and these are the columns. These are columns, okay? Columns or fields, same thing. But these are the rows and these are the columns. So here we have three rows and here we have three columns, right? In this table also we have three columns and we have three rows. Anyway, so the for the fragment, sorry, horizontal fragment, what we do, we see this condition, okay? Sigma branch name equals to the hillside on the account. So you can see account one. So account was a complete table, a big table where we have the all information related to this account, okay? So what we have said that take out the smaller fragment, a part of this table where branch name is hillside. Okay, here is the branch name written, hillside. So our answer will come like this. We have only three rows with the hillside and we have these columns with that. Okay, so a smaller fragment from the complete table will come out. It's also a table. It's also a schema. Okay, but a smaller fragment of that, smaller part of that. So this is known as the horizontal fragmentation. So horizontal fragmentation means that when you give some condition and you take out the rows from the table. So what was our condition here? Give me all the rows which has the branch name hillside. So it give me three rows. Understand? In the second example, it's doing same. It's now making another table, account 2, and it's saying, give me the all branch names which has name Valley View. So it gives you four rows, right? It gives you four rows here. So now you have this table and you have this table, but they are the smaller table from a one big table which was for the account. Okay, so this is the horizontal fragmentation. So remember that in horizontal fragmentation, you divide the bigger table into the smaller table by taking out the rows out of that. Okay, by taking out the rows out of that. Understand? Girls, is it clear? Okay, so this is our horizontal fragmentation. Now the vertical fragmentation is the opposite of that, that you will do the projection. If you remember, this was the projection. Nobody, by the way, sent me the homework except Jalila and Watfa. Nobody else give me that relational algebra, expression. Now you are not practicing, and when it will come in the exam, you will say that we don't know. So it's up to you, because I cannot push you and stress you, do it, do it. It's up to you. If you will not do, your problem. My responsibility is to give you and to explain you. Rest is your way. Anyway, this is the projection. Okay, so what we do in projection is basically that select statement of your SQL query. So and in select, if you remember, when we write select student, for example, ID and name from student. Okay, so what is the meaning of this thing? That select ID and name from student. So table is student and select ID and name. What does it mean? That select the columns. Okay, in the select portion, we always write the okay. So in the select portion, whatever the in select, whatever you will write, that is basically the columns. You are basically writing the column names. Okay, your columns name, this, and in the where actually about the rows, right? So in the horizontal fragmentation, you are looking for the where portion, this portion, this one, and then you will get the rows. And in the vertical fragmentation, you are looking for the select portion. Got it? So these are the difference between that. So vertical fragmentation, projection. Here you will see you have the now another table, employee name. Okay, sorry, employee info. So we say here is the algebraic expression for the query, projection, branch name, customer name, and tuple ID. Okay, so that's mean we need the 3 columns from the employee info. And here is no where condition. So you will get all the rows actually for that table. For example, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows here. Okay, you had the 8 rows of this table. You have only 8 rows in this table. So you will get all the data, but only for the branch name, customer name, and tuple ID. Okay, so basically you are now fragmenting your table into a smaller fragment by deleting the columns, not the rows. Okay, then in actual this was the complete table. How I can made combine this table actually. Branch name, customer name, tuple ID, account number, and balance. These 5 are the actual fields in the complete table, right? But I'm taking only one minute. So I have this one complete table. There I have 5 column, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, this is my table. Here I have the tuple ID. Okay, here I have customer name. Here I have branch name. And what else we had? We had the branch name. There was something else also there. Account info, I think. Account info. And what was the last? Balance. This was a complete table, okay? And there were rows. Here we had the rows, 8 rows. This, okay? There were 8 rows. So this was the complete table. Tuple ID, customer name, branch name, account info, and balance. So first in the horizontal fragmentation, what we did, we give the where condition and take only few of the rows. Now in the vertical fragmentation, what I'm doing, I'm dividing this table into 2 tables by dividing through the fields. Okay, I keep this into 1 table and I keep this into another table, but I will keep all the rows. Got it? So this is your vertical fragmentation, that you will divide the table according to the columns. So here projection, branch name, customer name, and tuple ID. So you give the branch name, customer ID, and tuple ID. Here you have the projection, account number, balance, and tuple ID on the employee info. So you take the account number, balance, and tuple ID. Clear? So I will give you something like this. If I give you a table, a complete table, and I give you this expression, right? So you have to divide the table according to this expression, right? I hope you will be able to do that. Advantages of fragmentation: horizontal, allow the parallel processing on fragment of relation, allow the relation to be split so that the tuples are located where they are most frequently accessed. What is the advantage of the horizontal fragmentation? That the parallel processing is allowed on the fragments, and also we will divide or split the relation mean table in such a way that they will be available on the places where they are required most. Vertical, allow the tuples to be split so that each part of the tuple is stored where it is most frequently accessed. Tuple ID attribute allow the efficient joining of the vertical fragments. This tuple ID column we add in the tables normally when we split them in order to give like a a primary key, so that whenever we want to join the tables back, fragments back into a one complete table, so we have the key and we can join them. Allow the parallel processing also. Horizontal, vertical, both allows you the parallel processing, and they can also be mixed into vertical and horizontal. Some part of the fragmentation can be horizontal, and some parts of your table, sorry, can be horizontal fragmented, and some part of your table can be vertically fragmented. Then the last thing is the data transparency. Data transparency, degree to which the system user may remain unaware of the details of how and where the data items are stored in the distributed system. Transparency means that your user does not know that your database is distributed on the different places. For the user, it seems like that they are getting the database from the same place. Okay, they do not know and they do not have any idea that this data is coming from the different places, or the database is distributed on the different places. So this is known as the data transparency. So the fragmentation transparency, users are not required to know how the relation has been fragmented. This is not the I mean, this is not the problem, or this is not for the knowledge of the user that database is distributed into the smaller fragment and it is placed on the different places. For them, it is like a one complete database on the one site. Okay, their application softwares will hide all these details from the users. Replication transparency, users view each data object as logically unique. The distributed system may replicate an object to increase the either system performance or the data availability. Users do not have to be concerned with the data objects have been replicated or where replicas have been placed. The same thing that we are, as we know that we are also making the copies of our database, but for the user, because like one database and the copy of the database, so they are not unique. Unique mean different, right? They are the copies, but for the users, they do not know that this is the copy of the database. If one user is getting the data from site 1 and another user getting the same data from the site 2, for them it's unique. Okay, they should not be concerned about, or they actually do not know that they are the copies of the same database, right? So for them it is unique, and they have no concern about that if it is replicated and how it was placed on the different places. Location transparency means that users are not required to know the physical location of the data. The distributed database system should be able to find any data as long as the data identifier is supplied by the user transaction. Again, they should not be concerned that from where the data is coming from, site 1, site 2, site 3. Like you are going on a counter on a shop and you need a ticket. Do you really care that are you getting the ticket from machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, or machine 4? No, it's not your concern. Your concern is only to get the ticket. Is it coming from machine 1? Okay, what's the problem? If it is coming from machine 2, okay, what's the problem? Your aim is to get the ticket. Not, you are not concerned that from which machine it is coming. So the same thing, user requirement is to get the data, and and to just to process their transactions. Doesn't matter from which physical location it is coming, from which site it is coming, Okay, is it the copy of the database or the replication of the database, or if it is the fragment of the database? No, they don't worry about all these things. They don't need to concern about this thing. Actually, they do not know about this thing. Okay, so this is known, the whole process is known as the data transparency, mean that these details are hidden from the users. For them, it is like that they are communicating to one system and the answers are coming from that. Naming of the data items criteria. Now, because we are distributing our data on the multiple sites, and sometimes it's fragments, sometimes it's the copies of the same data. So how we can name them so that there should not be inconsistencies in the system. And whenever you want to rejoin the relationships or relations, then there should not be any inconsistency. So for that, we need some criteria for the naming. Every data item must have the system-wide unique name. Whatever the data item or data elements variables you have, it should have globally one unique name. No other data element have the same name like that one. Okay. For example, in our system, if we have given A to one data item, A is the name of the data item, then no other data item will have the A name on any of the sites. Okay. Not on any of the sites. Then that should be the unique name. It should be possible to find the location of the data items efficiently. Keep the names like so that we can find the location of the data items, that if it was on the site 1, site 2, site 3, wherever. It should be possible to change the location of the data items transparently. Whenever you are transferring the data items from one location to the other, it should not affect the processing of your system. Okay. Each site should be able to create the new data items autonomously. And if the any site wants to create some other temporary data items for the processing, it should be done automatically without any problem for the other sites. Okay, so one is the centralized scheme we can do for that. Those were the criteria that should be fulfilled in order to name the data items for your distributed databases. One scheme is the centralized one. Name server assign all the names. Each site maintain a record of local data items. Sites ask name server to locate the non-local data items. So first of all, we make a server, which will a centralized server, which will assign the names to all of the data items. Then each site will maintain the name of its local data items. So if it has the 30 data items on one site, then it will be maintained by that site. And the name server will locate and will find out the all other data items from the other sites. Satisfy the naming criteria 1, 2, 3. This scheme will fulfill these three criteria. Okay, you can achieve these three with this centralized naming scheme, but it will not fulfill the this one. Okay, this one is not fulfilled by the naming scheme. This is the disadvantage. So name service potential performance bottleneck, name service single point of the failure. So just leave it. Uses of alias, alternative to the centralized scheme. If you are not using the centralized scheme, that another option is each site prefix its own site identifier to any name that it generates. For example, site17.account. Okay. So easier way that you give some aliases, like if this ticket is from machine 1, so you write m1 dot ticket. If it is from machine 2, m2 dot ticket. Okay. So you give the location identifier for that data item. Like they are saying that if this table is from the site 17, then you can write site17 dot account. Okay, so this is one of the ways so that you can locate the relation physical location also. Fulfills having a unique identifier and avoid the problem associated with the central control. So in this way, they will have the unique identifier and everyone will know, I mean the system will know the actual location or the site of the relation. However, fails to achieve the network transparency. In this way, there will be the problem of some network. We will not go into the detail. Solution: create a set of the aliases for the data items, store the mapping of the aliases to the real names at each site. The user can be unaware of the physical location of the data item and is unaffected if the data item is from this. We have already said that the user does not know the physical location of the data item. So if you are transferring data from one site to another, this will not affect the processing. And the other thing, the create the set of the aliases for the data items. Create a set of alias for the data items. Alias is like a temporary name, okay? You just create a set of the store the mapping of the aliases to the real name of the each site. So you will create a set of the temporary names for each data item, and then you will create a map, for with the real names. So whenever they will change the site, they will change also their alias name. Okay. So in this way, you can also make use of the temporary names for the alias is like not the real name, just temporary. You give some name to someone and then after some time it will be changed. So you can use the alias names instead of centralized scheme or like the site specific identifiers. So that's the end of this chapter. Any questions? Okay. Okay. Al Jora Rashid, give me your attendance. Al Jora Rashid, Amal Akil, Amal Nafe, Hanan Khalaf, Hanan Ayed, Saida Nahi, Saida Nahi, Siham, Siham, Shujun, Tamasha, Anood, Anood, Mariam, Mashail Sakil, Milaf,
Teacher,
yes,
yes, I know.
who is there? Huda, Badad, okay, Anood, Badad, Atir Saad, Asma Ali, Asma Ali, Afnan, Amani, अमल ममदू, तमाज़े, तमाज़िर, जलीला, खल्दा, खल्दा, रफ़ा, रफ़ा, राहफ, रिफान, चाहत, शौक, अबीर, गजलान, फातिमा,